2004 Aaron's 499 Talladega.
Now I remember that one.
Yeah.
How did you forget that one?
I remember that one.
The fans showed their appreciation in ways that only they could at Talladega.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that race?
Well, I don't remember a whole heck of a lot about the race itself. I do remember the finish. And you know, that was one of those days where I was so glad we didn't have to race back to the line that they froze the field. But
because he was good that day.
He was good.
He had him covered.
He was really good. I mean, I remember being pretty good, but I don't know if we were as good as you were. But I don't remember what led to, you know, that shift. I mean, we're side by side, and, you know, you're shifting here and I'm shifting here. And obviously you were passing me or going to at least get your nose ahead of me when that caution came out on the last lap. And I was sitting there going, I think I was ahead. And when they told me I was like, yes! And then all of a sudden I realized, there's going to be a lot of pissed off people in the grandstands. Because, I mean, listen, you always had an incredible following. But I don't know. I look back at those days and where the sport was and the enthusiasm and the trendiness of NASCAR and how it was just blowing up. And you were such a huge part of that. And, I mean, I played my role in it as well. But to have me and you kind of going head-to-head like that, and for it to come down to a controversial finish, it was one of those times where I was like, I don't know if I want to win this race or not, because I also want to get out of here alive. And so after that, you know how Talladega, when you win the race back then, you had to go up to the Unical suite, which was not. I mean, the grandstands are here, the suites are right here, and you got to walk upstairs.
That's right. It's
right
not
in the middle.
That far.
Oh,
right.
They were going crazy on my ass. I mean, I honestly, we had to have a lot of security.
So you had to walk up through the fans to get.
Yes.
Lord.
Well,
Yes.
And they've already been throwing beer at your car.
No kidding.
And so, security. Yeah, that's an understatement, I guess. But when you were in the car and they're throwing beer at you, what are your thoughts?
This is the greatest day of my life. I mean,
Ping.
You have to understand. I came through. So in 1995, people were cheering me at the beginning of the year and booing me by the end of the year, because at the beginning of the year I was just starting to win more races, and it was who's this new guy? He's on the circuit, and he's off to a good start. And then it was me and your dad, right? We're going for some of those wins, and we were both winning a lot of races, but we were winning more, and then we were ahead in the points. And so once we were ahead in the points, it was they may have cheered for me the year before, earlier that year. They weren't cheering for me then. So I went through a lot of trying to figure out why fans booed me or cheered against me or whatever. And it was, at first I didn't get it and understand, but then I was like, okay, their guy is Dale Earnhardt, and I'm the opposite of that, and in competition at the same time. So I got it. I started getting it. So leading into this moment at Talladega, I was like, there's no way I'm going to win this battle with the fans, because they want you to win. But I was still damn happy that I won the race. So when they started throwing all this stuff at me, that was almost I started realizing the boos were like recognition of what I accomplished.
Yeah.
So when they started throwing it, I was like, yes, this is awesome. And not that I encourage people to throw things out on the track, but that is the essence of NASCAR in those days. And you wish you had moments like that today, that they cared that much for what was happening.
I got other events, but let me just ask you a question since we're talking about Talladega. Am I wrong in saying that you guys didn't necessarily always look for each other to draft with? Or was that just me?
So the way I look at it is his philosophy was different than my philosophy.
Okay.
It wasn't that I didn't want to draft with him. It was I just think that when he wanted to go, he was a momentum guy, right? It was, man, I got the momentum, I got the run, I'm going to just take it wherever it takes me, is the way I always looked at it. And if I check up, whether it's for a teammate or for this guy, even though I might not want to hang him out, it's just I feel like this is going to take me. And me, I was probably a little bit more, no, I think right now I want to stay in this line. I don't want to do that. And so I think it started building the appearance of we didn't really want to work together. I think what really was, we were just kind of selfish, both selfish in what we wanted, and we both accomplished enough success to know that, well, this has worked for me in the past, and this has worked for you in the past. Why should I change it?
I mean, and both of you guys were just clicking off victories at restrictor plate races all the time. I mean, Daytona and Talladega, you had them covered. That's fair. All right, good. 2007, Dale Jr. announces he's leaving DEI. This is a two-part question. He's leaving DEI. I'm curious what your thoughts were immediately then, and then also a month later when he said he's coming to Hendrick.
Well, first I was like, wow. I mean, that was a big deal, and I remember that being a very big storyline in the sport, and so I was. I mean, of course, on one hand, and I don't want to get too much into some other stuff, but I wasn't surprised. I mean, I felt like what he was bringing to the table at DEI. I don't know if everything else was aligning to give him the best opportunity to showcase what he was capable of doing, and there were some other great opportunities out there. Hendrick being one of them. So when I heard that. And I don't remember all the openings, driver lineup, what we had going on at that time. I think Kyle Busch was sort of involved with that, which he, still hates me, you, Rick, and a bunch of other people for some of those things. Which
that was my next event.
Which
that
really
I was
had nothing to. It had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with him. I mean, at that time, he just wasn't. He's not what he is today. I mean, he was a great driver, but man, he just had a lot of other things that he needed to learn and mature. And,
he said as much right here on this couch. Even we had a bit of an intervention on that.
So I was excited because, I'm part of the business side of Hendrick. So I saw a great opportunity that was going to help us grow our organization because, I mean, the sponsors literally were standing in line. Now, by the way, this is never. You've probably talked about this on the show. I don't know. Never in the history of the sport has it ever been like that, and I don't think it ever will be. And I got to just taste enough of it being partners with Rick and HMS to where literally sponsors are lining up at the door. How much? Sure, we'll pay. Oh, that's not enough? Okay, yeah, what do we need? I mean, they were in this bidding war against one another. It's unreal. And to your credit, that was badass.
Rick never told us that.
Oh, yeah. I think you did okay. So I was all for it. The only apprehension I had is that I was a little the little, not that we had a big rivalry, but because of your dad and me, the way people were perceiving that, like Dale Earnhardt Jr. can't be teammates over at Hendrick with Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. I don't know how you describe the differences, but it was just too much yin and yang from the perception. I knew you, and I was cool with it on all those levels. It was just I wasn't sure what the fans were going to think.
Is it true that you called him and told him don't be messing with Rick Hendrick? Like don't be playing him. I'd heard that before. That you had, and not from Dale, but I'd heard that, like, as he was trying to decide, and I think Rick was getting excited. I think we heard it from Rick, actually, that Mr. H and Marshall, they were getting excited at the prospect. They thought they really could get Dale to come over.
I don't remember a whole lot about that. I just remember you got pitched hard by Joe, right, and wrote you the big check that you didn't cash. Thank you. I appreciate you not doing that.
That's cool.
But I don't remember a whole lot other than that Rick wanted it to happen really, really bad.
The last thing I wanted to ask you about was 2016, when you are now getting to enjoy the fruits of being a retired broadcaster. You had your first year of your broadcasting, and now you get to enjoy the second half of the season to go off wherever you are. And then he suffers the concussion, and I just love to hear what your immediate thoughts were when Mr. H, I'm assuming, made a call to you asking you to go back into the car.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it a little bit before, but so I was super excited about the summer of 2016 because I met my wife in New York, and she likes to travel and go places, and she introduced me to a lot of things that I had never experienced before, and I love that. I love going, whether it be to Long Island, to the Hamptons, or south of France. She's from Belgium, go to Belgium, and so we had this trip planned to go to the south of France, and we were having a great time, awesome time. And the ironic thing is, we were at this restaurant, and it was, man, we were having a fun time drinking some rosé and all that stuff, and having lunch with some friends from America that know a little bit about racing, but not a lot. And they're saying, "Oh man, how is it? You're not in the car anymore." I'm like, "Yeah." And they said, "But are you still involved with the team?" "Yes, I'm a partner and with Rick." And they said, "Well, what if one of the drivers had an issue and couldn't drive? Would you still get back in the car?" I'm not joking. This happened, and I said, "Well, I really don't want to. I'm good for a while. I don't have the itch right now. I'm enjoying life. Obviously, I'm here, and I can't describe the setting because it was fun and exciting, and a lot of cool things were happening. It was a big party, and I was not thinking about racing at all. And I left there, went back to the hotel, and my phone rang, and it was Rick Hendrick, and it was that day.
No.
And yeah, it was that afternoon, and he said, and I knew when Rick calls, he knows I'm on vacation. It can't be good. It's never, hey, how are you? I hope you're having fun.
Right.
Because he's usually getting on my ass for having fun, not calling me to check on me.
Yeah.
And he said, well, what do you think about driving for, how did he put it? John, I'm trying to think of the exact word, but it's something about we need you to fill in at Indianapolis this weekend. I was like, ha! I just laughed. I thought he totally, because he's a prankster, especially towards me. He gives me a hard time. He does. He busts on my ass all the time.
He does.
But that's his love, and so I love it because he does it. And so the crazy thing is, because we just had this conversation at lunch, and Ingrid's standing right in front of me. She's like, "What is he calling for?" And about a month before that, she made a comment, "Kind of miss going to the racetrack and seeing you compete." Yeah, and she goes, I do miss that a little bit. So I didn't even ask her. He when he finally was like, no, I'm serious. I'm with Marshall. Dale, his head injury is not going to allow him to come into the, And I asked, I think I was quizzing him a little bit. What all's going on there? And then he said, "No, I'm serious. We really would like you to drive the car." And I didn't even hesitate after that. It's the Brickyard, it's Rick, it's you, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm there. Yeah. And so we left a day or two early from France, sobered up a bit, and then got back, and it was on, man. I mean, it was driving simulator, getting with Greg and getting fitted, and I mean, I never prepared for one single race as hard as I did that race because I didn't want to look like an idiot.
I know. That's kind of how he felt when he made that one race back at Richmond. I think he had more anxiety about this Xfinity race in Richmond this year than anything I could ever remember, before a race with him. And that's just because I think you guys have this instinctual thing that, man, I'm going to go back out there and I haven't done it. I might have a little rust. Yeah,
people ask me all the time, what drives you? Is it winning or the desire not not wanting to lose? And I tell people all the time, I think not wanting to lose drives me harder than just the win factor. I when I do things, I want to do it right. I want to know that I put everything into it. When I get out of it, if I failed, it wasn't from a lack of effort.
I think he's got to go pick up his kids.
I do, man. My wife.
This is something me and you can appreciate now these days. Dale Jr. being the dad and all, and
I can't wait till you have two, man. Listen, I want you to have two. I want you to have one in 5th grade, one in 2nd grade. I want you to see the interaction of that, and then going to carpool. Oh yeah, buddy.
I know I've been to carpool with my buddies before. There's some tricks you can pull.
Oh my gosh! Listen,
you ain't gonna see me sitting in the back of the line. I'm gonna pull down around the corner, and they're gonna walk over to the car.
Oh yeah, no. The funny thing is, I'm not the rule breaker like my wife is. My wife's a rule breaker. She's always getting into it with somebody because they told her not to go here, and she's pulling up there.